if your home loan needs a health check or if you need a home loan, how about you give 888 Home Loans a call, get in touch with them and have a talk to them about your home loan. 888 Home Loans. Of course, really exciting developments over the last 48 hours. The Trico Trophy Tour for 2026, the Victorian Championship calendar looks like this. Sandown in February, Calder in March, Winton in May, Sandown in August and Phillip Island in October. One visit to Phillip Island in season 2026. So it will be exactly 12 months from now and we'll be rounding out the 2026 season. A fantastic inclusion here in the event that is promoted by the Victorian Mini Club, and it is the Super Mini Challenge. Not anything we've seen here in Victoria before for probably 3 decades, when we used to have a dedicated mini series which was like a sports sedan series, but these minis are certainly the Super Mini Challenge. I'm Darren Smith, right alongside me Matt Dunlop. And Matt, total full admission here, neither you or I have ever seen this race, or this series race, have we?
Quite frankly, we have not, but I am pumped.
We're going to give it a red hot go, aren't we?
I've been looking at some of the action on the highlights on social media. It looks awesome. The cars look brilliant. I just love seeing minis in general. They're great fun.
They make you smile.
They do. And we've got stacks of them on track. We've got 20 of them. We've been scrolling through the grid so far. Craig Lindsell's on pole, and then it's Alan Murray, Neil Turner, Stephen Turner, Anthony Elliott, Blake Mills, Trent Spencer, Joshua Mills, Thomas Campbell, and Christopher Baptista, the top 10. And then we go to Adam Juice, Leighton Ward, Bernard Hogan, Alex Lee, Brendan Cawley, and Stephen O'Malley down to 16th position, with Lachlan Campbell, Braden Larkin, James Campbell, and Andrew Mills. That's 20 cars. Now, you will have noted a lot of repetition of surnames there. We've got a lot of father-son teams here. So Andrew Mills, Blake Mills, Josh Mills, they're all part of the same clan. And then we've got Jim, Tom, and Lachlan Campbell, and Neil and Steve Turner as well, to name a few. It's very much a family affair, these Super Mini Challenge here. Come down to us from Queensland. They've picked up a few strugglers from South Australia. Our pole sitter, Craig Lindsell, is a Victorian as well. It's his first time here, and he's braining them with the pole position here. 146.17. That was 3.7 seconds faster than the next car. That thing's rapid, and you look at it when it comes around to the next shot, looks like an absolute weapon of a car, not least that it's finished in gun barrel grey. There it is. Jeez, that thing is... Look at the wing on that thing. You could eat your dinner off that for a week, I reckon. Just line all your plates up.
We hark our memories back, and it was Craig Denyer and Paul Stokel and others that were racing back going, I think it's more than a decade ago, in the older Super Mini Challenge. But these rules do actually allow those cars that I referenced earlier, some of those, the Super Minis or the bricks from all those years ago in the 80s where they ran a series. There's none of them amongst us here today, but I do know there's still some in sheds around Victoria. So this could breathe something into Victorian motorsport as far as minis is concerned. And as I led to before this, Matt, this race meeting is run by the Victorian Mini Club. Why wouldn't they try and find a field of minis to put out there so that they can, all enjoy the mark, if you like, of the cars that they, have been looking at since the 1960s when BMC first brought the minis to the fore, and there's fantastic tune shops like Cooper, and we see the Cooper Works minis, and they're in this field as well. So a great field, and I've got to say that 33 on pole position does look absolutely magnificent. They're all glistening in the sun, aren't they?
They are. They look fearsome, those front two cars at the front, with the sheer amount of aero hanging off them as well. They are going to be absolutely rapid. There's a couple of different classes running here, as you sort of alluded to. Unlimited class, which those two at the front are very fine examples, and then the Cooper class, which is much more of a spec category of mini, which aims to sort of level the playing field, so you can be guaranteed action aplenty as the green flag waves, the 5-second board goes up, the red lights come on, the engines rev up, we're underway. The number 23 car is stalled on the grid on the outside. He's getting underway now, but that is not ideal for Alan Murray whatsoever, and we do have another car that's parked up there further back in the grid, so he doesn't look to be moving. We'll keep an eye as the rest of the field streams down towards turn 1. Just look at the sheer size of the field. There are so many cars here, and these things, I can almost reckon they'd be banging bumpers all the way around this Phillip Island circuit.
I do like the 339 with the Union Jack painted on the roof there. That says to me, mini everywhere. That's the up tiles entry. and that would be fantastic. He's done a terrific job with that livery. Some great sponsorship on board these cars as well, which we've seen in other categories, CMA, etc., etc. The interesting one from the back, James Campbell in the number 72, got like a very wild, like World Time Attack type of bodywork on it. The exposed rear guards, just trying to pick it up. It's a silver car. Didn't do qualifying, but I would expect that it's probably going to be one of the faster cars as this weekend goes underway. Certainly the bodywork on it lends itself to being that World Time Attack type of body kit. There it goes there, just up the hill there. So we'll keep an eye on the number 72 of James Campbell throughout this one.
I reckon we'll see a lot of it, given how fast that car is. It'll be coming up through the field as the racing goes on throughout the weekend, but there's plenty of action going on here. So now we're looking at the battle between, this is Neil Turner in for leading third, and there's a huge just gaggle of cars behind, and there's a bit of a lock up there for the number 5. That's Brendan Corley, just ahead of that CMA machine of Chris Baptista that we were alluding to earlier. So you can see just the amount of variance between these cars, and the good news is they were able to get that stalled car off the grid in time. So there's no safety car period. We're still underway with green flag racing. That was the number 4 machine of Leighton Ward, which did not take the start, unfortunately. So we are sans one car from the start, but the rest of them are roaring across the stripe in anger. And it is Lindsell who is still braining them. Daylight, second, third, fourth. But then behind them, here's a good battle for actual second place on the road. The number 91 of one of the many Turners in this field, that we will find is Stephen Turner, currently in second place ahead of the 118 of Neil Turner.
Apart from the 22 cars on grid that are head Turners, we've got lots of Turners. There's 2 ABC liveried cars there as well. Matt's just touching on that. Car number 25, Blake Mills, and Josh Mills in car number 3. They started out of 6th and 8th. And there goes the up tiles entry there as well. So getting good shots on blend line. Have a look at this. Are we 4 wide? No, we're definitely 3 wide.
Yeah,
there goes the Union Jack. Here comes this.
Oh, I see what you mean.
James Campbell.
That
look at that. That's wild.
That is the number 72 of Jim Campbell that Daz was alluding to earlier, and we will be seeing a lot more of that as we go through. Here's the number 25 car of Blake Mills, brother of Josh Mills, who was up ahead in the other ABC livery machine. In between them is the 339 of Trent Spencer, one of the co-founders of the category, running in the Unlimited class, up tiles as they call him. The 2024 class champion in Unlimited, so that is a rapid bit of kit that he's driving. And then back here we've got a little bit more of that, like a traditional mini challenge livery on that machine that we're seeing in the centre of shot, leading this field. That is the 28 car of Alex Lee. So awesomely presented cars all the way up and down this field.
Bernard Hogan as well runs that car in the under 2 litre series, so now got something else to run with as well. So great to see Bernard in the mix there. Brendan Corley is pushing through the field, and just having a little bit of James Campbell watch on the opening lap. Got himself a good chunk of places, just trying to catch where the 72 is after 2 laps. So just looking for that pace to see where there it is. Nope, they're all swapping around. So Campbell at the 72 is up to 8th. So rear of the grid. Big move down the inside there in the number 3 at Josh Mills.
Going past his brother Blake and just holding onto it around the outside. If his father Andrew was here, he'd be pretty not happy with how that move panned out, but they've all kept it nice and tidy. Andrew's a bit further back in the number 24 machine. He's making his way up, all 3 liveried in ABC.
Is this a fight? Who's going to get the top bunk? Is that what's going on here? But there goes Campbell. He goes through. Wow, that thing is a jet in a straight line. It looks to have an absolute out-and-out custom front aero package on it. In fact, dare I say, it looks a little bit Alfa Romeo there with the front on that one.
It does a bit.
I'll withdraw that comment because I'll probably get necked before I leave race control.
I'm vaguely picking up what you're putting down. I definitely see it. It is a spectacular car to look at the very least. We can definitely agree on that.
But it is driven through the field from 19th, the rear of the field, and now well and truly inside the top 10. So we've picked the Charger, an absolute out-and-out Charger. This is a great battle. The brothers Mills are absolutely going for it with the 339 just in the back there of Trent Spencer. And this, where are we? We're looking, what are we, 4, 5, 6 on the road. And they're having a really good battle here. Nathan weighs in on it there as well.
And behind them is the number 83 car of Tom Campbell. That's super cheap auto mini there. you'll find many other Campbells in the field. Jim Campbell, of course, in that silver mini who we've been rattling on about all day so far. And Tom Campbell Lachlan Campbell in the 30, whereas in the middle there, so that's the Uptiles machine of Trent Spencer still really, really going door-to-door with these guys. Speaking of door-to-door, those two brothers are separated by nothing as they cross the stripe. I think 25 of Mills has the pace, and he's got him around the outside. So that is Blake Mills who goes up. Joshua's actually shot off there, so he's had a little bit of a lock-up on the front, it looks like. Or has he had a failure of some description?
Yeah, that looks like a left front tyre there.
Yep.
Deflating tyre. Or when I say deflating, I mean deflated. And that is nothing like a Geelong fan last Saturday afternoon. That's just a deflated tyre, not the entire ego left there. But we race on. What was really interesting, what I really like is Trent Spencer has got like shark's teeth painted on the grille of that car, and it looks, all the other cars look like happy smiley minis, but that one looks like it's got a very different attitude about it, that car, with there it is there, the shark's teeth on the grille. We'll have a look at it as it comes around.
Yep.
You can see that, or I'm going to say gorilla teeth or something like that painted on the front. But
shades of Rexy, the Porsche 911 running in World Endurance that you see. It's almost giving me vibes. I reckon you could get away with a pretty good, like a Spitfire sort of rendition with the shark teeth up the sides there, given the heritage of the minis, of course. But these three have been lockstep pretty much all race so far with an awesome battle. Now, we have had a safety car called, and I'm assuming it is because of the number 3, and yes, it is. Joshua Mills is marooned on the exit of turn 1, and that is a shame to see for his race. And we will have a neutralisation as a result, because that car is not going anywhere, unfortunately. I'd almost hazard a guess that he might have potentially suspension damage, but I'd probably think that he's just looking to park the car there and just protect it, because if he takes that around the rest of the circuit with a delaminated or a flat tyre, it's going to start ripping apart that front guard, and that's just work you don't need to do, putting that car back together. So he's called it quits, but there's not very much space at that part of the track to get out of the way of the rest of the race. So the safety car will come out and bring proceedings to a halt, and that gives us a pretty good chance to take stock of the field so far. So Craig Lindsell is still flying with a 147.5781 as his fastest lap. That's put him 13 seconds ahead of the first of the turners, Stephen Turner.
Which is all now lost.
It is now lost, indeed, yeah. So that margin's going to be gone. But so Steve in the number 118 car is in, he's in the 91 car, is currently second ahead of his dad, Neil, in the 118 car in third position. So then we'll have the number 66 of Anthony Elliott in fourth. Jim Campbell, where did he start? He was back at grid, 19th.
Isn't he setting world speed records?
He is. He's in fourth. No, he's in fifth. That is unbelievable in that number 72 machine. So that thing is flying, and he'd almost have a pretty good run at the race lead if he can get some passes done early off the back of this safety car, and then see what they can do with limited time on the clock.
It's like one of their big brothers, isn't it? The safety car, the Clubman. I think it's called a Clubman. From Waverley. Mini here this weekend. Great to have them on board providing the cars. So synonymous with the Mini Club, isn't it? To have the new version of the Mini and the different iterations and things like that you've got. How's that? That gives you an indication. The left-hand rear wheel's still got the sticker on it for Jim in the number 72. So it's probably just spending most of its time floating in the air.
Yeah, around that corner side Bureau, I don't think it'd be touching the ground at all. You'd be able to put a can of Coke underneath it as it went through there. Just
as a bit of, I guess, setting the scene coming into this round. This is not a point-scoring round for the Mini Challenge, and has been, until now, largely run out of Queensland racetracks. And I got to say, it's fantastic that they've joined us here at Phillip Island, and really adding some great colour and I'm going to say pedigree to this particular round of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. But the series coming into this round, and this is only a form guide, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Blake Mills in car number 25. Now, this is something that's created some confusion for me, but that's only because I'm not very good at maths. He's got 7,596 points. Right off the back there, that's a lot of points. Right behind him is Braden Larkin in car number 44 at 612 points. Chris Baptista in car 9, 5681 points. Trent Spencer in the 39, 5487 points. Brendan Cowley, 5194. Tom Campbell 4.806, Jim Campbell 3.833. So that's Jim we're watching in car number 19 pushing through from the back of the field in that custom aero package on the front end of that car. Lachlan Campbell's next, Andrew Mills, Josh Mills, Leighton Ward and Andrew Juice. A couple of things out of that, Matt, is that a couple of those competitors aren't here. Obviously, I understand that they're racing for a championship, and if you're not going to get championship points, I'm going to say you're missing out on a lot, because in Queensland you're racing at QR and Morgan Park. Phillip Island offers a completely different racing experience to those two tracks. So those two tracks have got big consequences when it goes wrong, but they're relatively slow. Phillip Island has a lot less consequences, but you're going really fast.
100%. It's such a unique challenge in Australian motorsport is Phillip Island. Very, very fast. Probably the second fastest track in the country behind Bathurst, I would say. And it's such a flowing circuit as well. There's almost none of the stop-start. Like, you've got the hairpins at Miller Corner and MG, and that's about it. The rest of it, you've got to get your line dialed in, and it's such an important part of stringing together fast laps here at Phillip Island. And as you said, especially compared to a place like QR and Morgan Park now as well, it's a very different experience, and it presents a much grander challenge. And it is really, really good to have these minis come all the way down from Queensland to race here at Phillip Island. They must be relishing the opportunity.
Yep, and they are colouring in the picture at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit very, very nicely, which is clearly in preparation for the MotoGP in the ensuing weeks here. The property looks absolutely magnificent. I think we just need just a little bit of rain, but here and there, not a lot. Keep the green grass and show the world this beautiful part of Australia and Victoria indeed. And as the signs say, Melbourne, 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 Australia, Melbourne across the main straight here. But certainly these pictures, and being that Mini is clearly an international brand, there'll be people tuning in, I'm sure, to our championship coverage via the Blendline TV networks, YouTube and the social medias, etc. for this championship. But we certainly welcome everybody that's just joined us for the first time at this series to watch the minis. And we're just hearing now, sadly, the first race for the weekend, they will be getting, coming around, they will be getting a checkered flag under safety car. And we are just about to see these cars crest the hill. And as I said, Matt, the cars look to be smiling, and I bet they would be smiling even more if they finished wide open throttle. But we've got this big clean-up going now, and we'll get the minis clear of the track, because we've got still plenty of racing coming today. We've got the big bangers, sports sedans coming out on track next, BMW E30s and Hyundai Excels combined. The historic touring cars will be out on track with the HQs. MG and invited British cars. Formula RX8 will be back for another race this afternoon. Big V8s and the sports cars will combine for our last race of the day. Matt, let's just have a bit of a look and enjoy watching these cars. And I tell you what, the 33 blasted away, got himself over 13-second gap in 4.5 laps. You can only imagine what it would have been like if it went the full distance racing. And there's the checkered flag.
The beauty of having a mini safety car is you can always guarantee that a mini is going to be leading the race here. But we do, race one comes to a premature close, unfortunately. And the first win will go to Craig Lindsell in that number 33 machine. Then it's Stephen, followed by Neil Turner in second and third, respectively. And then Elliott, that is Anthony Elliott, crossing the line in fourth. James Campbell ahead of Blake Mills in fifth and sixth. And then Trent Spencer in the 339 machine in seventh, ahead of Thomas Campbell, Andrew Mills, and Adam Juice in 10th position. Behind them, we've got Brendan Cawley, Chris Baptista, Bernard Hogan, and Alex Lee through to 14th. And then it's Lachlan Campbell, Stephen O'Malley, Braden Larkin, and then our non-finisher, Joshua Mills, unfortunately, was towed off the track there. Alan Murray and Christopher Cotton, I'm not certain if they came out. Christopher Cotton was. So they were both on track, which is good to see, but not finishing, unfortunately. So 20 cars there in the field, and Leighton Ward was also our staller on the grid who did not finish the race. So,
welcome back trackside, ladies and gentlemen, as the VIPs roll into the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit to take up their spot to watch the final round for various categories. Of course, we've already seen Formula Ford running this morning and a fantastic race we've had. And of course, everything Formula Ford can be found in the new book. If you get onto the Formula Ford website, make sure you get the new Formula Ford book, coffee table book there, friends. And it's a ripping read. Get yourself one, or get one for someone who likes motorsport for Christmas. I even think it might have even been reduced for Christmas. Super Mini's now on track. I'm Darren Smith, and Matty Dunlop has jumped right alongside here. Really cool inclusion yesterday for the Vic Series, having the Super Minis, and I guess it's right on point, isn't it, when this round is promoted and run by the Victorian Mini Club. Why not showcase the modern product, which I guess is different to when the Mini Club started in the early 60s, when BMC bought out the original Mini. And we're now looking on the screen the next couple of decades of evolutions of these potent little pocket rockets, great fun race cars, and some pretty highly modified ones too, Matty.
From BMC to BMW Minis.
Yes,
so these
exactly.
are the modern ones that are out on track, and they've been putting on a great show. And it's going to be some more sensational racing here in race 2 today. So let's take a look at the grid. It is Craig Lindsell who takes pole position next to Stephen Turner. Neil Turner is next behind them, and then it's Anthony Elliott. Jim Campbell in that spectacular-looking number 72 machine starts 5th, and then it's Blake Mills, Trent Spencer, and Tom Campbell rounding out the 4th row. Then we go to Andrew Mills, Adam Juice, Brendan Cawley, and Chris Batista in 9th through 12th, and then we have Bernard Hogan, Alex Lee in 14th, Lockie Campbell in 15th, and Stephen O'Malley in 16th, and then we go to Braden Larkin in 17th. Josh Mills, who had a tyre let go yesterday, has started back in 18th, and then behind him we've also got Alan Murray, Chris Cotton, and Leighton Ward, who either did not finish or did not start yesterday. Hopefully we can get as many of those cars out on the grid as possible, because that would bring us up to 21 cars. If so, even if we can't get all those guys out, we've still got a bumper grid of minis here today, Darren.
Certainly is, and there's one that dragged our attention yesterday. Car number 72 came from the rear of the field, James Campbell. A very interesting frontal aero package, looks like heavily modified on that car. Of course, Trent Spencer is the class champion from 2024 and currently holds the lap record at QR with a 1:19.77. We're watching Trent in car number 39 out of position number 7, so we'll keep an eye on that. There's the number 72 I referenced just a moment ago. It certainly looks like it's got that open rear arches, like a time attack sort of car or a sports sedan sort of thing. So it's certainly got a bespoke aero package. There it is there. A couple of purposeful openings right in the front of that car to get air through. And we touched on the car that was just in the back of shot there, that one right there, car number 37 or 337 as it says on the side there, with the gnashing teeth on the grille there. So looking forward to seeing how this, sorry, 339, not 337, 339 is the number, and that's Trent Spencer there. So they make their way down. Front row of the grid is Craig Lindsell and Stephen Turner, as it was yesterday, and they take up their spots. Just hearing them idle there on the grid. And magnificently brought to the line there, Matt. I love a category that comes down like Formula One. They all come down and almost stop at the same time. No one's left sitting on the grid for excess amount of time to cook the engines. But watching very closely that 3rd row out of position number 5, car number 72, to see how it gets off the line today. So started yesterday's race from the rear of the field, grabbed our attention because of the wild body kit on it, and it answered the questions in performance. So revs rise on the rev limiter, and away we go. Double dip at the clutch there in car number 33, Craig Lindsell, and there goes James Campbell there as well. Big move from the rear of the field as well, pushing pretty hard up, but the double dip at the clutch there, that's a very interesting starting style, front drive style, and that is what Craig Lindsell has done and got down into turn number 1 in first place, looking quite good. Adam Deuce there getting a good look at the side of his car as they get their way through turn number 1. The 83 there, the super cheap auto car of Thomas Campbell, started out of 8th, looking to make up some positions. There's James Campbell there as well. We touched on it yesterday, Matt, the number of brothers and father-son combinations right throughout this field, isn't there?
It's very much a family affair, so forgive us if we get a little bit mixed up with which Mills is which and the Campbells and whatnot as well, as there's so many families involved here, and a lot of the time they're bumping shoulders together, as we see here. That's the number 25 car of Blake Mills, but next to him is the 83 of, that is Tom Campbell. So two different families here throwing themselves at it, and then behind them that's the 339, the up pile, which means Brent Spencer, as we touched on earlier. So side by side as they go through Exeter Siberia, it looks like Mills is going to try and get up the inside, hangs the back end right out, and when you're driving a front wheel car, the way to get out of a slide is just plant your foot, and that's what he's done. He's kept it together. He's around the outside once again as they go across the hill into MG. He might try and have a look here up the inside of Campbell, but Campbell shuts the door.
Fittingly, the number 25 has ABC written on the side. The ABC of front wheel drive racing. When in doubt, power out, and that's just exactly what Blake Mills has done. Fittingly here, this is a look, they're getting together here. The QR lap record holder just in the back of shot here, but the driver, Tom Campbell, just holding off this battle pack. They're all starting to line up behind here. You're like a champagne cork and a champagne bottle any minute now. It pops out, and they all pop out left and right and stream on by the 83 there, and then we've got another ABC car, a yellow one this time around, pushing into that there. The 118 comes into it. Neil Turner started off the second row of the grid right behind Craig Linsell, and Neil Turner holds on to his P3 early doors in this one, but there goes James Campbell.
So James actually had a pretty far from ideal start there. He bogged it down a little bit and got a bit swamped. Lost at least one spot off the line and dropped to 6th, but he's made his way up to P4 by the time he made it back around to the stripe. So that thing is very, very quick, and there's a bit of a lock up there. Some puffs of blue smoke out of the side of the number 5 car of Crawley, I believe that is. Yes, it is. But keeps it on the black stuff and makes his way around Miller Corner once more as they proceed around with just under 10.5 minutes left on the clock, so plenty of racing still to come.
Interesting you reference the start there, Matt, because at the moment Craig Linsell has just disappeared. He has absolutely bolted open the gate, and the horse has run free. Got himself 4.5 seconds on the opening lap here, and in one make racing, yeah, it's different classes available here, but generally the classes are grouped together on the track. But 4.5 seconds in lap 1 of the 4.48 kilometres of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit is an amazing start in this race. So that's what happened off the start. Really clearly had a double dip at the clutch. Maybe that's the secret. Just get the car moving over that first metre and then give it another dip, get the revs up, and away you go. But certainly worked very, very well at this point in time. A 1:46.88, terrific lap time also in the Mini. So awesome start for Craig Linsell to start race number 2 for the weekend.
Next fastest car on track is Neil Turner with a 1:48.7. That is just how quick Linsell is. Almost 2 seconds a lap faster on sheer pace. So he must be double clutching out of every single corner here to keep that pace up. And you did mention the class sort of structure here, and we touched on it a bit yesterday. Basically, there's 2 classes, unlimited, which means if it's a mini, kind of do what you want within reason. And then there's the Cooper class, which is designed to be much more structured and one make, which is what you're kind of seeing here on screen right now. But the beauty is you can compete for each class's points, but there's also outright points. And what that means is you can be, if you dominate, like you're seeing Linsell there, braining everyone in the unlimited car there, even if you could have like a similar run of the Cooper class, you could still win the outright championship just because it's based on, like, it's fully separated from that. It doesn't take into effect where you are standing on the track in regards to every other car in the category. It just takes into effect where you stand amongst your peers. So that's a really cool points format in how it works. This is a non-points paying round though, so all these drivers will just be having a bit of fun, but also throwing everything at it and just getting stuck right in, as we see here.
It's more about bragging rights here this weekend, isn't it, really, these guys? Just watching Alan Murray in the 23 there, it's a pretty wild-looking Mini. In fact, it's got that high-mounted rear wing on the top of the rear window there, and it sort of seemed to be wobbling under load a little bit there. So he started rear of grid, and the 23 is not quite inside the top 10 yet, but is certainly pushing behind. A couple of team cars getting together here, the number 24 and 25. So we've got Andy Mills and Blake Mills, the
father
Cooper
and son
SR56 and just the Cooper S. So yeah, father and son. This could be interesting.
It certainly will be. We saw Blake Mills duking it out with his brother Josh yesterday, and through this corner is where Josh unfortunately came unstuck with a puncture. Couldn't figure out where it came from, but the inside sidewall basically disintegrated and that car was going nowhere fast. So that means Josh is right at the back of the field in 19th right now. So Andy has it all to play, just holding off his son Blake there. But then we've got Spencer in the 339 swooping past in that fearsome looking Untitled machine, trying to make it a run on both of them.
Certainly is, pushing very, very hard there under brakes now. Who's got the bigger brakes, the 25 or the 39? Inside running goes to the ABC car, the 25. So that's Blake Mills holding on as the Queensland Raceway lap record holder gets through there. Here comes the 72, who started out of position number 5, James Campbell, and he has currently made it up to P2, is it, or 4?
He's up to P2, so he's gotten past both of the Turners now who are sitting behind him. So he's made up both those spots in this lap alone. That car is absolutely rapid. He was right behind them as they went down the main straight last time by, but he has a gap of 8.2 seconds up the road to Craig Lindsell. That is how fast that number 33 machine is here. We're seeing the rest of the cars, second, third, fourth, coming in the last corner. Lindsell just crossed the line. See, fastest lap again, 1:46, Boeing 707.
Be interesting to see when Campbell gets to the line what his last lap was, because he goes to P2, 1:45, so he's eclipsed it, and it is definitely, it's by 0.8 of a second over Lindsell. So the 72 has found his groove and is now fastest car on the track with 5.5 minutes left remaining plus a lap. Well, if he can keep those lap times up, as we have a bit of a lock-up down there into turn 2, but if he can keep those times up...
If he can keep the car running, because there's a lot of smoke coming out of that 72. I don't know if it's a tyre rub or if something else is going on, but we will keep a very, very close eye on that 72 machine because it doesn't look ideal. It's petered off a little bit, and we won't be able to see a great shot of it as he comes through into Miller. Jumps on the anchors, keeps it in the middle of the road. He's still wary of the 2 Turner machines behind him, wanting to defend. So let's see what happens. It looks anticipated for now. So fingers crossed he can keep that thing pedal to the metal once again and hopefully catch the back of Craig Lindsell. Great
job by the cameraman there to get in through that open passenger side window. We could just about see him changing his mind as he went down into turn 4 then. So terrific camera work here. The Trico Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships will try and get you as close to the driver's seat as we possibly can. White gloves help. We can see when he's changing his mind, the gloves go up and down as he weaves his way into a corner. That always helps. No, I do like white gloves and those iridescent yellow gloves. You can see right inside the car and see what the driver's doing with the steering angle, but certainly down there at turn 4, great camera work to pick up right inside the car there and get that detail from what the driver's doing.
It's the same reason why I like to use a hot pink golf ball. Of course, Daz, you can see it a mile away in the most dense scrub possible, no matter what you're doing. So
sounds like you play like I do, mate.
Oh, absolutely horribly. Someone's got a black flag. We can't see who it is, but we'll keep an eye, which means they'll have to roll through pit lane and take a drive-through penalty. Let's keep an ear out or an eye as well to see if we can get any further updates there. But in the meantime, we've still got Craig Lindsell and Jim Campbell running first and second. The gap is still 8.5 seconds at the front, so Jim hasn't been able to catch so far, probably because he may necessarily be nursing a car.
72.
So the 72 has that black flag. That is Jim Campbell. So, wow, we're not sure what that is for, but we will keep an eye out. It doesn't look to be a mechanical black flag. That is a pure black flag with no disc on it.
So start line incident or something. He's slowing, so he's seen it. Definitely slowing, and looks to be coming up the return road into the pit lane. So that's a real shame. That's a real shame. Probably should have motored around to the pit lane and come down that way. But a black flag. Generally, it's probably a start line incident. We don't see a 5-second penalty on the timing screen, so we can only really surmise what might have gone on there. But what does go on is the race out in front, and Linsell is doing an absolute ripping job. 5 laps completed. The car that has just come into the pit lane is definitely the fastest car on track, but Linsell last time round dropped into the 145, just a 145.966, so that was 2 cars that had dipped that low, but only 1 remains in the race.
So there's still plenty of racing all the way up and down this field as we see the 5 and 9 going side by side, Brendan Corley and Chris Batista, and they, right behind them, are trying to hold off Bernard Logan, and I believe that would be Alex Lee behind him as well. No, that is O'Malley in the number 19 car. So O'Malley is right there, but the vast majority of this field have come from Queensland as well. That is the 11th, as a matter of fact. So that is Bernard Logan, and then behind him is the number 30 car of Lachlan Campbell. So that's the Red Bull machine, Lachlan's son of Jim Campbell, who just peeled into the pits. So runs in the blood here, does racing, and especially mini racing, as we see these 4 cars flying around this last corner and onto that long main straight. The wind has picked up a little bit. These cars won't be able to do a whole lot of slipstream with it. They're giving it their absolute darndest here down the main straight, as Jim Campbell has fully pulled into the pits now and finished up his race, unfortunately. But still plenty of racing, as we see the number 5 going up the inside of Chris Batista there. So these two still scrapping it out. There's a bit of a lock-up. Just keeps it in check.
Stephen Turner in the CMA number 9 goes right round the outside. Big amount of lock on the number 5. Just debates the speed a little bit there. Understeering off Southern Loop, but gathers it all back up, covering just a little bit less real estate with the CMA car number 9 of Stephen Turner. And this is great racing here. All Class C cars. We can see that off to the right-hand side of the windscreen. Line astern with each other. Bernard Hogan, in the R56 JCW. The red car there, just in the back of shot. But certainly these two are going for it. Car number 5 there, Brendan Corley, has gathered it all back up again, and a position change. The number 11 goes through, Bernard Hogan. He was setting that up all the way around for exit of turn 2 when these two were ding-dong battling with each other here, but the 9 has gone back 2 spots since turn 1.
The 5 and the 9 both threw some blue smoke from the front, so they were locking it up into Siberia, and Hogan's going to keep the car moving, and he gets past there, and he'll be up into 11th position now for car number 11. So great racing here between these 3, and no, that's Josh Mills once again. So this is the car that came unstuck yesterday. That's the same corner where he's gone off, I believe. So that's turn 2. He's looking to rejoin, and hopefully he can get back out on track, and we won't see this one end under safety car once again. We don't have a whole lot of time left in this race because the clock has just gone to 0, which means once Craig Linsell comes around, he will receive the last lap board, which won't be too far away, and these drivers will know about it. They've got plenty of passing to do to make up as many spots as they can for those super important bragging rights.
Craig Linsell is absolutely giving them a lesson, isn't he, at the moment? 12.5 seconds clear, and he's just eased up on the lap time of 150, so he's eased up 5 seconds off his best.
Whoa!
Coming together there out of turn 2. It was always going to be on between those guys, the 5 and the 9. Start to get a bit more aggressive with it in the dying stages of this one. And the 9 gathers it all back up, sands the right-hand front headlight. The number 5 just having a bit of a look around in the back, wondering what had happened there, but just below the 8-speed sign, a bit of damage on the bumper. But what has happened now is that Campbell has taken full advantage of that and taken the Red Bull machine and just driven on through.
Awesome pearlescent paint job on that thing.
Isn't it?
Shifting as it rolls past the camera shot there, especially under these changeable weather conditions here today at Phillip Island. We saw a brief glimpse of the radar earlier. Looked a bit ominous, but it's looking dry for the rest of this race at the very least. But here at Phillip Island with the weather, anything can happen, and it usually does.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's actually cleared up during the improved production race. It's quite menacing at that point in time, those clouds off the back background there, just hanging around a little bit. They're nice big fluffy ones that don't look like they've got too much rain in it. Certainly the radar has cleared up. So if you're watching on from Melbourne, certainly plenty of time to get back down to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. We'll be here right until after 5 o'clock tonight racing. And, well, the time is only now 10:30, so you can be down here for the entire afternoon session if you want to get trackside.
Let's take a look at what happened. So Corley's leading here, and then that's the number 9. Just tags him as they go through the southern loop there. Geez, at the speed they were going and just how much the cars were loaded on the right-hand side. That could have been quite a bit worse, but they both held it together. But they're going to have some stern words for each other when they get back to the garage.
Here's our race leader, car number 33. An absolute emphatic drive here again today. Craig Linsell has put the pedal to the metal. He had a very, very trick start. It's certainly one that dragged our eyes and our attention to him off the start there. Looked to be a double dip with the clutch, and he just drove away. Has not been fronted since then. There's the checkered flag, and he takes 2 from 2. Craig Linsell in the mini challenge. The Super Mini Challenge, and he does a tremendous job as we look back through the field now, and this is positions 3 and 4 on the racetrack, or is it 4 and 3? They're switching around, coming around turn 12 as we look now for Neil Turner,
who just crosses the stripe to take second, and then this will be the battle for third position. So it is the 66 of Elliott, who is currently on the podium. Can he hold off the other Turner? Yes, he can. So Elliott. And that is the number 4 coming unstuck of Leighton Ward, unfortunately, who didn't make the start, or did make the start, but I think he stalled on the grid yesterday. Hasn't been able to finish that race today, which is very unfortunate for the other ABC machine there, that number 4. But still plenty of action here. This is Brendan Hogan, or Bernard Hogan, I should say, we were taking a look at earlier, trying to hold off the number 52 of Adam Juice. This battle, I believe, is for 9th position, and they have Campbell up ahead, so this is actually the battle for 8th all the way down. Campbell is going to have a very, very quick 11 car to try and hold off as they come to the line. Can he get it done? I think Hogan is going to get the pass done and move into 8th. So Campbell in the 83, that is Tom Campbell, will cross the stripe in 9th. Adam Juice will round out the top 10. But we still have the rest of the field filtering through here. We have Corley in the number 5 that we saw earlier getting involved in that little bit of a tangle in 11th. Lockie Campbell 12th. And then we have O'Malley, Chris Baptista, and Alex Lee in 15th. Now, here's those top 10 results again. It was Craig Linsell with daylight, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, effectively. 18.226 seconds the margin, Darren. That is a massive gap.
It's huge over a 9-lap race, isn't it? That is an absolute lesson in mini racing there, and I'm going to say in car preparation there as well. Neil Turner, Anthony Elliott, that confirms our podium for the Super Mini Challenge for race number 2. We've got plenty of racing still to come. Without too much further ado, the Minis make their way out on track for the Super Mini Challenge race number 3 for this weekend. A ripping looking field of Minis made them most of the way down from Queensland. It's Craig Linsell in the number 33 that leads the field around on pole position. Out of position number 2 is Neil Turner. Back to Anthony Elliott in the number 66. Stephen Turner in the 91. Alan Murray in the 23. And then it's Andrew Mills. Blake Mills in the 25 will start out of 7. Bernard Hogan, who battled hard in that last race to get inside the top 10. Thomas Campbell in the 83 will start out of position number 9. Out of 10 is Adam Deuce. In 11 is Brendan Corley. Out of 12 is Lachlan Campbell. Stephen O'Malley will be next with Christopher Baptista. It sounds like an IndyCar racer, doesn't it, Christopher Baptista? And then we go to Alexander Lee, Braden Larkin, out of position number 16. 17 is Trent Spencer. We're looking for big things from the number 39 to push back up through the field. Leighton Ward will be out of position number 18. Josh Mills out of 19. Christopher Cotton starts out of position number 20. And James Campbell has to battle again from the rear of the field. In fact, I haven't seen James take to the course as of yet.
No, neither have I, Darren Smith. I'm having a look around, and I tell you what, if that car is out there, you don't miss it, because it is one of the most spectacular looking minis you'll see. It's the silver Martini liveried car with the aerodynamic, almost like a 45-degree angle down that front lip there. But unfortunately hasn't taken to the track.
How they got a wedge shape out of a Mini, I don't know, but they've done it very, very well. It looks very effective.
We did see that car was having there's a little bit of smoke coming out of it towards the end of the last race earlier today. He then ducked off the track after he was given a black flag. He hasn't come back out, so unfortunately it sounds like there's some issues that just couldn't be rectified ahead of race 3, which is a shame for Jim Campbell. Luckily for him, it's a non-championship round of the Super Mini Challenge, but he does lose out on some bragging rights that Lindsell in pole position will be very, very close to clean sweeping here this weekend.
Craig Lindsell's done a terrific job. He's head and shoulders lap time above anyone else. Last time around, fastest lap of 1:48.4021. Neil Turner, who lines up right alongside him on the grid, he did a 1:47.68, so best part of 1.8 seconds per lap faster, and finished the race some 18 seconds further up the road. 9 laps was the journey in the Minis. They've had some really, really clean racing. We did see a little bit of a coming together between two protagonists. They did battle on, but certainly it was a bit of a tough battle, and it was a very awkward coming together. But we move on, because we've now got this entire field making its way down to its grid place, and the Super Minis have got just over 14 minutes left in their time to get this race underway. We are running a fair bit behind time at the moment, probably about half an hour behind time with the Super Minis were to start at 1:40, being that it's now 2:15, so 25 minutes behind time. So has been a lot of safety cars. In fact, it's more like round 1 of the series than round 5, the final day of the series, the amount of safety cars we've had here this weekend, and the recoveries have been complex and time consuming right throughout the day. But the Minis haven't wasted any time getting around as they're about to head off on their first lap. First time we've seen this series on Victorian soil, and it's been a pretty good entertainment package. They've bought a big field of cars, and we've enjoyed it immensely. The 33 gets great clutch take up, but Neil Turner in the Pizza Capers car does as well. And the 24 coming back from row number 3, Andrew Mills, he gets an absolute ripper. That's the bright yellow with the black headlights car heading down into turn number 1. He's grabbed 2 spots off the line there as we watch Stephen Turner just drop into P3.
Big discrepancy on the launch times between Andrew Mills in P6 and the car ahead of him, Stephen Turner, in P4. I just caught the back end of that, so I wasn't sure exactly the ins and outs, but we'll keep an eye on that. But the field is racing around the southern loop at the moment as they all go towards turn 3 for the first lap of what is the last race of their outing here at Phillip Island. So they've had a sensational run so far, action aplenty all the way up and down the field, and it's going to be an awesome one here as they all pile into Miller Corner for the first time. It is still Craig Lindsell that leads the way, with Turner behind him as well.
Big charge from car number 19, Stephen O'Malley. That is a ripping start there. Went wide around turn 2 and just found his own high line and drove around about 4 cars there. He got bottled up behind the super cheap auto car on the exit of the corner, which seems to have gone slow. Here's one of the cars that was mixed up in the melee in the last race. You can see the damage on the back there as it was run into. As I said, very awkward, and there's the car that is in it. So O'Malley is the sandwich here between the 5 and the 9 that got a little bit feisty in the last race this morning.
Yeah, he might be pretty keen to get out of the middle of that pack that he's in right now and make his way forward, but it is a very, very quick car, that number 19 Mini, as he touched on there, and he's looking all over the place, not far enough ahead to make a move, and he's actually under threat now from Batista, who's trying to go around the outside of the second last corner. He's got some great pace in that number 9 car, setting himself up quite well, but I think the number 19 there of O'Malley might be in a more beneficial spot to take the lead back again in this battle pack at the very least as they go through the last corner, or it could be a drag race.
This is very willing. They go around there. There's a little puff of smoke out of the 9. So just keep an eye on these two as they come down the straight side by side. The 9 seems to have good straight line handling there as well. So just gets that front guard clear in front, and there it goes. Drives on through. So O'Malley has to succumb to that, but boy, what an opening lap for O'Malley. That went very, very well indeed.
Awesome run for O'Malley. We see just behind him is a 339 of the Uptiles car there. That's Spencer, who has normally been a lot closer to the pointy end of the field, but didn't have a great race last time out, so he's got a lot of work to do to try and make his way back. He goes up the inside of Adam Juice. He's got the window down, possibly to say, "G'day, mate, thanks for letting me through. I'll go on straight past, thank you very much." And now he's all over the back of Stephen O'Malley, who's one of the guest drivers from South Australia, who's joining us this weekend, and normally from a Queensland category. So Spencer goes up the inside of O'Malley, gets that move done, and Adam Juice also finds himself in the clutches of Campbell in the number 30 Red Bull machine.
So Trent Spencer now driving very, very well this weekend. Lap record holder for the category at Queensland Raceway. I reckon these guys are really relishing in the wide open, fast and flowing spaces of the landscape here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, and absolutely relishing it, flowing these cars magnificently. They have great dips in them so they can drive all the way through the corner. We've got 2, 3 wide as we go back to the top of the hill here. That is Josh Mills. Right around the outside goes Leighton Ward in the R53. We've got a bit of a wobble there for number 3 and a lock-up. Ran deep, ran very deep, succumbed to position. So Leighton Ward goes through on Josh Mills. One little lock-up and you lose a spot just like that.
Josh Mills was the car that was very, very quick on Saturday. Qualified quite well and was up in the pointy end of that class in the battle there. Had a tyre let go. DNF'd in that race, did not have a great finish early today either, and is trying his darndest to get that car back up through the field, but with lockups like that, it's going to cut into his ability to do so quite significantly. So he finds himself all the way down in 15th at the moment, and that may even be down to 16th if this car of Alex Lee can get past as well.
Oh, that's pushed wide there. Number 3, this has been a torrid lap for Josh Mills. Gone wide here, gone wide there, gathered it up. You don't want to use up too many of your lives like a cat. I think he's got about 6 left and still got over 9 minutes of racing. So count your lucky stars, gather it all back up and try and keep it on the black stuff.
Alex Lee's got the go fast lights turned on, makes his way past Mills on the inside, and Lee's going to have another duck up the inside of the number 4 car of Lee, of Ward, I should say. Another massive lock-up from Josh Mills there. That car's going to be rolling on 2 50-cent pieces on those front wheels.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Josh Mills has had an exciting lap over the last minute or so. Every corner he's had an extra dip at, and had to send a bit of a plume of smoke off the front tyres to remind himself to keep it on the black stuff. But as we go climb the top of the hill, Stephen O'Malley now, he is the cork in this bottle. They're gathering up behind him. Leighton Ward, that's the black and yellow car. And it looks like it's got a bit of a either flapping front bumper or bonnet there. Just the gap opens up under high speed. See that? Just bouncing around underneath the headlight there as we go through now. It's the 28 from Mini Sport, Alexander Lee, or Alex to his mates in the Mini Cooper S. O'Malley has now got a big challenge, and they're all lining up to have a crack at him. They're going to go side by side through turn 12 around Belinda's Terrace. They go to complete lap number 4. High and wide, NASCAR style there, Matty D. How's that? It's not a number 3.
Very, very close. The number 52 is using all the road and a lot more. Cops a decent chunk of grass there. That may have actually been not the 52. I apologise. It's the other red car in this battle of Alex Lee, the 28, who is the beneficiary of that pack. Gets past a lot of them.
Wow, that was brave. You don't do that. You don't put one wheel, let alone 2 wheels, in a front-wheel drive car off in the main straight here at Phillip Island. He gathered it all up as we see, what is that, car 4? No, car 3 coming down pit lane. So in the lane now for Josh Mills. That's a shame. The battle goes on regardless of what's happening in pit lane at the moment. And let's go to a little quick Linsell watch, 5.7 second lead in 3 laps. Last time he had an 18-second lead over 9 laps, so he's well and truly sailed off into the distance again. On
par for Linsell for that car by the sound of it, based on the pace from last race. That thing is flying along. And the good thing about this category is even if you've got a car that's dominating at the front, you can still be duking it out all the way up and down with some very valuable points on offer in the regular season. Non-points paying round this weekend, but the Super Minis will be back in action 1st and 2nd of November at Morgan Park for their final round of their series. So if you're liking what you're seeing here, have a look at their Facebook page, Super Mini Challenge, because you won't want to miss the rest of it. But don't go away from Blendline TV just for now, because we have just under 6 minutes left of Super Mini action here, right here for you at Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit.
Just as a form guide, I know this is not a championship round, but heading into Morgan Park, Nathan Spencer right alongside the number 5 now, and this is a ripping battle because that's Brendan Cowley. Nathan Spencer fighting from 17th, and these guys are just chasing each other through the pack. And the move is executed. Just for a bit of form guide leading into Morgan Park, Blake Mills leads the championship over Braden Larkin, Chris Baptista, Trent Spencer, Brendan Cowley and Tom Campbell, with Jim Campbell in 6th place in the title hunt. So for those watching on from Queensland that are heading off to Morgan Park for the next round, they're the ones that are leading in the point score. They don't really feature in the results here today. This has been a completely different, I'm going to say, levelling of the playing field of sorts, Matt, because we're seeing a different bunch of front runners.
That's exactly right, and we see Trent Spencer, as you mentioned, all the way down here. This is now a battle for 8th position, I believe. No, this is still the battle for 9th position that he has, because the number 5 of Cawley has made his way back up in front of him after they cross the stripe. But Spencer is nowhere near where he wants to be, but from having started rear of grid in 17th position, he's having a rip snorter so far.
Good battle pack here formed up for a top 10 finish is what they're trying to execute here. Spencer 9, Cowley 10, Baptista and Campbell 11 and 12. And we got Willing in the last race between these two here, but Trent Spencer is now the 39 in the sandwich between the 5 and the 9. And they did get very willing. So Trent Spencer looks at the top of the hill to go wide and will plunge down under brakes, well and truly covered off there. Beautiful covering there by Cowley, or Cawley, and doing it nicely there. Indeed, the 9 having to go wide. And we've got another one join the party there of Campbell.
That's Lachlan Campbell, part of the Campbell clan here, one of Jim's sons. So he is thrashing that number 30 Red Bull machine around all over the back of the number 9 car of Baptista here, and fanning out to try and have a look, because it looks like Trent Spencer is trying to look for some real estate as well. There's a little bit of a draft available to these cars if they can punch a decent enough hole through the air, but they will go line astern through turn 1. So this battle for 9th position still rages on. There's another 4.4 seconds up the road from this pack to the next place car of Mills in the 25, so I'd hazard a guess and say that 9th is the best that these drivers were going to aim for. And even for a 9th position in a non-points paying race, they're going pretty hard, aren't they?
They are, aren't they? They've certainly grabbed our attention for this journey. 3 minutes on the time certain clock plus a lap, so it's probably going to be another 3 laps, 4 laps. You have to take us out to around about the same distance as they did this morning. 9 laps around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, nearly 50 kilometres of racing, and they're still diving out from the car in front. Trent Spencer well and truly under fire here, and really starting to feel Baptista and Campbell breathing down his neck and getting joined. Now they're lining up behind these two as we see Leighton Ward just easing a gap out now. As Alexander Lee just gathers up a spot there, runs down into the corner, not covered off this time by the 5, just in the last moment there, just moves across to cover anything but a charge there. But Alex Lee in the 28 looks to be doing a nice run here. He's going to go wide and use the full advantage of the Mini Cooper S, and just ducked back inside Mini Sport and blazing down the side, the checkered flag across the roof. And they go 3 wide, essentially down the main straight here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. You can go 5 wide if you have to.
If you want.
In a Formula Ford.
If you're brave.
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
in a Formula Ford, that's a little bit how you're going.
That's a little bit too much in a Formula Ford.
Moto 3, maybe you might see it a little bit. So
XLs or something.
Yeah, XLs definitely. But these minis have been fantastic, even if they even, 2, 3 wide. Like, the racing has been sensational all weekend so far. And it's been such a pleasure to have them on board in the Victorian State Series with us this weekend because, it's just spectacular. And you just love looking at minis, don't you? An iconic car, like, always good fun. And the racing they've produced has been stellar, as I mentioned. As Spencer has a look up the inside at Miller, I don't think he'll be able to, inside at turn 3, Stoner, but he won't be able to capitalise in Miller corner turn 4. We'll have to duck back in behind the 28 of the South Australian Alex Lee.
You look at these JCWs, the John Cooper Works cars that run in their own class, and essentially you rock up to the mini showroom, you point to the JCW you want, take it home with you, put a cage in it, make sure it's safe with the harness and seat, and come join the Super Mini Challenge. It can't be too much easier than that. And let me tell you, for the kind of money you got to drop, our fastest car on track is a 145.8. Yeah, that's in the modified unlimited car, as we see a big move there coming up the top of the hill there, so Trent Spencer goes back a spot. But these Coopers, they're running at 48s, 49s, 50s. That is absolute rapid lap times for not a lot of outlay.
And it's going to feel, and even if it's the 148 to 149s, feel incredibly fast as well, because you've got throwing a front-wheel drive car around such a fast-flowing track like Phillip Island, it's very much not what those cars had in mind when they were designed, so it makes it a very interesting challenge. You see just how far the rear wheels will get off the ground in some of the very high-load corners, and that's part of the beauty of front-wheel drive racing.
I reckon that's what they did in visualising for. I reckon they went, yeah, let's make these handle like they're going around a, they handle like on a 10-cent piece, but they certainly go the park when you've got some decent drivers behind the wheel, don't they?
We've had quite a few cars missing a wheel at some point or another throughout this weekend, and now we've got these minis who don't even need the fourth wheel as they're going through the quick corners, and it's always brilliant to see. And I feel like improved production is a good example of when you can see front wheel drives going toe to toe with their rear wheel counterparts.
Checkered flag being at the ready now for our race leader, who is coming around turn 12 as well. We've hardly seen anything of Craig Linsell, but I tell you what, the crew have got the broom out and they are taking to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. It is a clean sweep for the number 33. What a weekend. What an amazing weekend for Craig Linsell. He has dominated. And I say that with a capital D, and dominated, because he has just driven away from this field. This time around, 10 and a half seconds over 8 laps. Last time around it was 18 seconds over 9 laps. And Craig Linsell has just given us all a bit of a lecture on how you go mini racing. Next to the line will be Turner.
Let's have a look at this replay.
Turner.
We just saw the number 18 car coming a cropper in that previous shot. Let's see how that potentially happened as they go around the outside of Braden Larkin in Siberia, and just
got on the grass and looped it. A little bit of a lock up.
Looped it, did Chris Cotton. Just not what he was hoping for at all there. Just a little bit too loose on the exit there. Not the way that Chris Cotton was hoping to finish his race, but having not really had a good run throughout the weekend so far, it's good to have him out on track at the very least.
Stephen Turner got home in 3rd place. Andrew Mills started out of 6th, getting home in 4th. Anthony Elliott started out of 3rd, ended up home in 5th. Great finishing record. Bernard Hogan started out of 8th, got home in 6th. And then Andy Mills, that was the B Mills, so that's Blake Mills, started out of 7th and maintained 7th. So I'm going to say, Matt, that was a fun old weekend of racing for the Super Mini Challenge. They've really got to sort themselves out to see if they can take it up to this guy in car number 33, though, don't they?
100%. It's an incredible mini, and there's your final results. Craig Linsell, as you mentioned, taking the chocolates and clean sweeping the round ahead of Neil Turner, Neil's son Stephen behind him to round out the podium as well. And then Andrew Mills, the best of the Mills cars at the end there, ahead of Anthony Elliott, Bernard Hogan, Blake Mills, and then Alex Lee, the South Australian, Brendan Corley, and Trent Spencer in the Up Tiles machine, rounding out the top 10. Fantastic outing there with Adam Juice, Leighton Ward, Stephen O'Malley, Braden Larkin, Chris Baptista, Lachlan Campbell. Christopher Cotton did make to the line in 17th with Alan Murray and Josh Mills coming around as well.